Florida Congresswoman Laurel Lee. She's a member of the House Judiciary, Homeland Security, and Administration Committees. Congresswoman, good morning to you. And I do want to ask you, what is the political calculation here that is being made by the Speaker, considering the fact that there is so much pushback, not just from Schumer and from Democrats, but also there's been concerns from Senate Republicans?
Well, starting with the SAVE Act, this is a bill that makes clear that only American citizens can vote in our elections, and then gives the tools to elections officials to ensure that they can actually administer elections in that way down in the states. So this is a concept that should be unanimous. It is really inconceivable that we have members of the House of Representatives and members of the Senate who would oppose this basic concept that American elections are for American citizens. So beginning there, Mr. Schumer's comments about this being a poison pill or a non-starter really are just completely illogical. This is something that should be a matter that Democrats support. The reality, we know that in the House of Representatives, almost none of them did. The second thing that's important to remember is that the House has been doing its work. The House has passed spending bills for over 70% of the budget, of the money that we needed to allocate this term in Congress. The Senate has taken no action on those spending bills. So it is, in fact, Chuck Schumer who is the person who is absolutely responsible for the situation that we find ourselves in here today.
Well, okay, question number one, why then do you have these 6 Republicans, or there may be more coming out today, we'll find out, that are opposing Johnson's plan? That's question number one. Question number two is that, again, it's an election year. There's a very limited time on the calendar for the House to get things done before all of you go back to your respective districts, because, again, we are in an election year. Explain that risk that's being taken right now.
Sure. Well, the members that oppose the CR, they all have different reasons that they have stated. Some simply don't like temporary stopgap measures like this. Others are concerned about defense spending and the fact that it's very hard for the defense, our Pentagon and others to make decisions, fulfill contracts in a temporary stopgap situation. And that's absolutely right. But again, the House has been doing our part to make sure that we did not end up in a situation where our choices were a continuing resolution or shutting down the government. So, neither one of those options is ideal, but the Senate has refused to act and take up these spending bills. So those are the options that are left on the table. Sure. Is what can we do in the immediate short term? Of course, we'll continue doing our work on spending bills and would await anything coming back from the Senate so that we could go that way. But certainly, I think the risks of a government shutdown are very serious. It's something that, I've worked for the federal government before and seen what happens when we are in those kinds of situations. It's a very serious thing, something that is not good for the American people if we're faced with a shutdown of our government, particularly on the eve of an election.
Well, exactly. And again, that's the political risk that I wanted to ask you about. So again, we are on the eve of the debate, and that is tonight. Vice President Kamala Harris finally adding her policy platform to her website yesterday. 50 days after President Biden dropped out of the race, and just ahead by less than 48 hours of the ABC News presidential debate, which is tonight against former President Trump. So on the new issues section of the site, it says that Harris, quote, knows that our immigration system is broken and needs comprehensive reform that includes strong border security and an earned pathway to citizenship. Congresswoman, the border has been something you have been very vocal on, something that you have worked on in the past in your work in Congress. Your reaction to this policy perspective we're getting from her?
It is a stunning failure to articulate a border policy that makes sense. So first of all, she has been absolutely at the leading edge of our open border and the disastrous consequences that has had for America. And now one of the things that she's proposing is a pathway to citizenship for all of these people who've come across the border. That is exactly why we see millions of people showing up at our southern border trying to enter this country illegally or through an adulteration of the asylum process without any sort of adjudication or conclusion that asylum is appropriate. And so, this is exactly why these people are coming into our country with this hope that one day someone like Kamala Harris is going to say, okay, now you're all citizens. And what does this say to the people around the world who have been trying to come to our country legally? The bottom line is this: we are a nation of laws. Kamala Harris has proven time and again that she does not respect our existing immigration laws. She will not enforce a secure border. And this policy section is just her latest effort to basically make permanent what we have been seeing with this lawlessness and what we know has led to the empowerment of the drug cartels, the pouring of fentanyl into our country, a rise in human trafficking. There's a reason why it is necessary that we enforce our laws at the
Certainly.
southern border, and we're seeing those consequences today.
Let me follow up on that then with you, because top aides have talked to the Wall Street Journal and said that some of the goals tonight of former President Trump, besides hitting her on inflation, her owning the economic record of the Biden-Harris administration, is bringing up the U.S.-Mexico border, her time as border czar, what has happened at the southern border, and also planning to go after her, basically painting her as weak on crime because of her California prosecutory record, her time as a prosecutor in California. So I wanted to ask you about that because, we just got this new, another network doing this bombshell research showing that she basically, when she was filling out paperwork in 2019 to be a presidential candidate, she was endorsing things like basically paying for detainees to have gender surgery care and, surgery, transition surgeries, things like that. So that past record, how far do you think we're going to see that kind of flushed out tonight on the debate stage?
I think that is exactly what President Trump is going to do tonight, is shine a light on her past record, which is crystal clear. The radical positions that she has held on criminal justice, on immigration, on the border. This is something that President Trump knows, and he knows how to do right. It was his policies that had our border secure. Remain in Mexico, not allowing this abuse of the asylum system. So I think this is a subject that President Trump knows very well, and that he will be prepared tonight to walk through those policy positions and hold her accountable to the American public. And that's exactly what we need. Kamala Harris has been avoiding scrutiny, avoiding media interviews. She has been avoiding actually having to explain and be held accountable for these dramatic and total shifts in policy positions that she is trying to sell to the American people today. All right. So I expect that President Trump tonight will absolutely focus on criminal justice, the border, her prior positions, and showing the American people that it is in fact his policies that will give us a country with a secure border, a strong economy, and neighborhoods that are safe.
We will all be watching. Congresswoman Laurel, thank you for joining us this morning. It's good to see you.
Great to see you.